If you've been playing harp for a while, I'm sure you know some techniques and you know some riffs, but when it's time to actually solo over a song, maybe your mind goes blank. Maybe you don't know what you're doing and everything you play just kind of sounds the same. If that sounds familiar, it's because you might be approaching soloing all wrong. Many people try to memorize and think their way through jamming. It just doesn't work. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 3 steps to finally solo on harmonica the way it actually works. Let's dive in. Okay, step 1, you got to pick your path. Before you can solo, you need to choose your scale. And that scale is your path. It's the set of notes that you're going to use when you improvise. Now, most blues players use the blues scale in second position as like their primary scale. That's your starting point, so take a listen. But that scale does include a lot of bends. So if you can't bend yet, then you can use the no bend blues scale. Sounds like this. And if you're playing major key songs and you want to pick a scale that has a bend but doesn't have all of them, the major pentatonic scale could be a good fit. So those are some of the scales that you can choose, so just pick one, and I would choose that based on your ability to bend. If you can't bend very well, you just choose the no bend blues scale, don't even deal with it yet. If you can at least deal with that 1 3-whole step bend, then the major pentatonic is a good choice, and if you're feeling pretty confident with your bends, then go with the blues scale, okay? Eventually you want to learn a bunch of different scales, but for now, just pick one of them and get decent at it. Now, what happens when you don't pick a path, when you don't choose a scale to play as you jam, you end up playing random notes, and some of these work and some of these don't, but they don't always sound good together, okay? So the problem is that you end up just choosing random things and you hope it sounds good. It's like wandering through the woods without a trail. You're just lost and you're gonna hit some trees along the way. But when you pick a path and you practice it, you know where you're going, you know what notes work, and when it's time to solo, you're not just guessing, you're just following the path. So here's what you do. You pick one of those scales from before, the no bend if you can't bend at all, the major pentatonic if you can hit the 3-whole step bend, or the blues scale if you can hit multiple bends easily. So practice it with a metronome, okay? So get that click going. You can do this on an app or with a physical metronome, and do it slowly at first, like 60 beats per minute, and then gradually speed up and get faster and faster. Here we go. Do this for a few minutes a day until you can move through it without hesitation. You don't need to master the scale you're working on. You just need to know the path well enough that you can walk it confidently. That's step 1. Step 2 is to immerse yourself. Soloing is a language, and just like learning any language, you don't get fluent by staying in the classroom. You get fluent by immersing yourself, right? By actually speaking, even if you sound clumsy at first. You know, a lot of people think that they need to keep practicing scales until they're ready to play over music, but the truth is that that day never comes. You'll never feel ready, just how it is. The only way to learn how to solo is to actually solo over and over, even if it's messy at first. I mean, think about it. If you wanted to learn Spanish, you could study grammar for months and learn phrases, but you know what would make you fluent a lot faster? Moving to Spain and being forced to speak Spanish every day. Like, yeah, you'd sound clumsy at first and you'd kind of stumble into some weird sentences. You'd say some things wrong, but you'd be learning in real time, and your brain would start connecting those dots way faster. That's why we learn languages really fast when we're children, when that's the language everyone around us is speaking. We just pick it up because it's what we're hearing all of the time. It's what we're engaging with, even passively. It's the same thing with harmonica. You've learned the vocabulary at this point, like the scales, you got the notes, you know the base materials to use. Now you just need to immerse yourself in the act of actually improvising. So you put on a backing track and you start speaking that language, right? You need to get hours in playing over real music, making mistakes and learning what works. There's no shortcut here. You can't like think your way through this. This is somewhat intellectual, but in the moment, you're just kind of in it and you're kind of reacting and responding like a conversation. So that's what you really got to do. So Here's what I suggest. You've done some metronome practice, okay? Now, when it's time to play, you pick a simple 12-bar blues backing track is a good place to start. You can play in a lot of different genres, and I encourage you to, but the blues is a nice way to get started because it's very predictable. Now, if you're playing one of those second position scales, you're going to look for a backing track in the key of G, okay? If you're on like a C harp, you'd be playing in G. That's how second position works. There's other positions. You don't need to know everything about keys and positions from right now. Just follow that instruction. Put on a 12-bar blues backing track in the key of G. And when you're about to play, limit yourself to using the notes from the scale that you practice in step one. So let's say I did the major pentatonic scale, which is this. And I did the metronome practice, right? Where I have the beat of the metronome. It's going on a click, and I go... If you do that, you should be somewhat comfortable just moving up and down that scale. And so when you want to actually make music from it, all you do is you make simple phrases that are just like a couple notes together with a little pause at the end using these notes. So as an example, here are a couple phrases. Okay, I'm just playing a couple of those notes connected together, but the key part is that little gap at the end, okay? That's what's actually gonna make it sound like music. Don't overthink this. Just have a conversation with the music. And if you do this for 10 to 15 minutes a day, I'd say at the minimum, and you eventually over time get those hours in, you're going to get better. All right, I'm just gonna play some simple phrases using the no bend blues scale. Take a listen. Now, at first, this is gonna feel pretty awkward. You're gonna play some notes that don't land right. It's all normal. It's all part of the process. And there's ways of dealing with that, but that's beyond the scope of today's video. But if you embrace that it's just going to be kind of messy and you're going to be kind of in over your head, but eventually figure it out, then you're going to be able to get through this phase way faster than someone who like starts playing and gets all hung up when you play a wrong note or something and then quits, okay? You just got to get the hours in. When I started really learning to jam, I would play for like 2 to 3 hours a day at minimum. And I'm not saying you need to do that, but if you think about it, someone who's playing for 2 to 3 hours a day is going to be making progress way faster than someone who maybe plays for 5 minutes, if even that, right? So if you're not doing this every day, you're not even playing that game, right? So the goal here is to just get into the game of improvising. Start jamming over tracks, even if you don't know what you're doing. All right, before I move on to step 3, I need to address one big misconception. A lot of people think improvising is just playing a bunch of riffs and licks that you've memorized, and it's not really improvising. It's kind of just reciting. It's like trying to have a conversation with someone who only learned a couple lines from a phrase book. Like if you're learning a language, right, and you learned how to say, "Where's the bathroom?" But when someone responds, if you don't know the words, you're just lost. You can't reply. You're just repeating phrases. It's not really a conversation, right? And as such in music, that's not really improvising. Real improvising is responding to the music in real time, making musical choices based on what you hear, and not just playing all of the things that you've memorized. I mean, riffs and licks are useful, don't get me wrong, but they're like vocabulary words, and you can't have a conversation just with vocabulary words. You need to actually understand the language and learn how to speak it, and then having some cool words they can use, that kind of spices things up, and riffs are the same way. And that's what step 2 is all about. It's just immersing yourself so your brain learns how to have that musical conversation. All right, so step 3 is going to be to stack your skills. So at this point, you've picked your path, you know where the notes are, okay? You've immersed yourself, you've started to get comfortable playing over backing tracks and just getting your hours in. And now it's the time to stack your skills, because the playing that I've described up until this point is relatively basic, right? We were talking about phrases like this. I mean, that's pretty simple, right? Now, where most people screw this up is they see really great players and they realize that those great players are doing so many different things. They're using, bends, and they're bending their chords, and they're adding tongue slaps and vibrato and wah. And so, you see a player like this, and I get this. This is what I felt when I was beginning, and you want to go and copy all of those skills, right? So for many players, you just try learning them all at the same time, especially on YouTube. This is so common, right? You just bounce from one video to another and you fill your brain up with a lot of information, but then you find out that none of it actually sticks. It's like trying to build a house with half-formed bricks. It doesn't work. You need to actually understand things and then build upon that knowledge, right? You don't try to stack 10 bricks before the first one is solid. You lay one brick, you let it set, and then you lay the next one. And I call this the stacking method. You're not trying to do everything at once. You're stacking one skill on top of another, layer by layer. So what kind of skills am I talking about? Well, some are obvious harmonica techniques like wah, vibrato, bends, playing in different octaves, stuff that you've probably considered. But a lot of them are also musical skills like using dynamics, understanding chord changes and what notes work well over what chords, playing with different rhythms, phrasing, like the way that you group things and time things together. I mean, there's a lot here. Music is a lifelong game. There's always something new to learn. I'm always learning new things. But the key is you don't learn it all at once. You add one thing at a time. So here's what I want you to do. Just pick one skill that you want to add, just one. Maybe you notice other players using a lot of wah. Okay, that's where you make this hand motion to get this effect. So just choose that, okay? Don't choose everything, just choose that. First, you got to learn how to do it. You have to understand it first. So figure out the mechanics, okay? Get it to work in isolation first. You got to figure out how to get the hand ray, how to get the motions working, okay? How do you actually get the sound? And then start adding it to your improvised playing over backing tracks. And the way that I like to do this is a process I call intentional improvising. You first set a limitation for yourself. You give yourself a rule to follow. So let's say that you're working on wah. Well, you put on a backing track and decide, I'm only going to play these long held notes at the end of my phrase, and I'm going to use wah on every single one. So as an example like this. Okay, you set a rule so you can have wah show up in your playing over and over. So if you play like that for even a few sessions, it'll eventually start to feel automatic. Like you don't have to think about it too much anymore. And then, and only then, you pick the next skill and then add it to the stack. And over time, and this does take time, like weeks, months, and potentially even years, you build a really solid foundation and you start sounding like a pro because you've mastered the fundamental skills one at a time. And that's the stacking method. So to recap all three steps, for step one, you pick your path. You choose a scale and you practice it until you know where the notes are comfortably. Step two, you immerse yourself. You put on a backing track and you start playing on a regular basis. Even if you sound like a beginner, you got to get your hours in. In step three, you stack your skills. You pick one new skill to work on, you learn it properly, and then you add it to your improvised playing with intentional improvising. Create a rule for yourself so that skill shows up in your music over and over, and then just follow that process, focusing on one skill at a time, and then you'll learn the next one after that. And if you follow these three steps, you'll learn how to solo on harmonica. It's not really a question of if, it's just a question of when. And how fast you get there depends on how much time you put in. Now, you can do this on your own. You can pick a scale, find some backing tracks on YouTube, and just start jamming. A lot of people do. But here's what I've learned. Most people get stuck somewhere along the way. They practice scales forever, waiting until they're ready. Or they start playing over backing tracks, but they don't know if they're doing it right. Or they try to add too many skills at once and get really overwhelmed. And so they spin their wheels and they don't make progress, and then eventually they quit or go back to the easy things that they understand, like playing little short songs. But I want you to be able to really jam. And that's why I created Start Soloing. So Start Soloing is a 3-day on-demand workshop that walks you through these exact 3 steps with clear exercises, backing tracks, and everything that you need to actually do this. Each day is about an hour. I walk you through the whole process, like how to pick your path, how to immerse yourself in the music, and how to start stacking skills one at a time. And by the end of the 3 days, which is just 3 hours total, you'll be soloing over a backing track. I mean, let's be real, not perfectly, right? You're not going to sound exactly like a pro, but you're going to be doing it. You'll be playing the game. And that's the breakthrough, because once you can do it, you just keep doing it, right? You keep stacking skills, you keep getting better, and before you know it, you're improvising over any song. And the best part is, you don't need YouTube. YouTube can be nice. It can be a way to learn, but as long as you get this process, you're just off to the races. And that's what this workshop does. It gives you the structure, so improvising finally makes sense, and you start seeing progress right away. Start Soloing is available right now. It's inexpensive, less than the cost of a single in-person lesson. It's a one-time purchase, fully on demand, and you get lifetime access. So you can spend the next 6 months trying to figure this out on your own, or you can let me walk you through it in 3 days. So click the link in the description. That'll take you to the Start Soloing page where you can see exactly what's inside, read more student experiences, and sign up. Let's make this year your breakthrough. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And if you found this video helpful, hit the like button. It really helps me out. Peace. Let's go make some music.